The drama in the pageant world is never ending, and given the theming of my most recent video, I thought that today's video was apt because we are, after all, in Miss World season. Miss World is only a couple of days away, and to some of you it might have come as a shock that England has quit Miss World for the very first time. This is shocking because we all know that Miss World is based out of England. England has always been sort of like one of the contestants to watch at Miss World, and so this year for England's contestant to quit under the circumstances which she did was nothing but shocking. England basically went to a news outlet in, you guessed it, England, and talked about how she quit Miss World and left India because she was left feeling uncomfortable. Now you might be wondering, what, dear Rena, left England so uncomfortable that she felt like she had to quit the competition which she worked so hard to join? Well, she was expected to sit and talk with people who helped sponsor Miss World. To me, it doesn't sound that bad either, but trust and believe, to England, this was very traumatizing. She was not ready to be seated at tables with people who turned out to be men who helped sponsor the competition. This was too much for her. Apparently, England felt like a prostitute because she was expected to sit at a table with men who helped to sponsor the event and basically make small talk with them, laugh with them, basically just have a good time attending an event with other people. Now, whilst she was making small talk, she mentioned how, she wasn't really comfortable with the small talk aspect of it, which is basically what you do when you meet strangers. I mean, these people don't know you, you don't know them, so what do? You talk about the weather, you talk about, so what do you do for fun? So what do you do for travel? So do you work out? Do you not work out? The basics of when you're like talking to someone for the first time. No. This is beneath England. She wanted to talk about the causes that she's supporting. And she was very dismayed to find out that when she was trying to talk at an event, which is for enjoyment, about causes that she's supporting to people who are not really involved in that department of Miss World, they basically just laid down some money for this event to happen. When she tried to talk to them about the causes that she's supporting, she was met with disinterest, and they basically just were like, okay, cool, moving on. When you try to discuss something that's truly very important to you with someone you just met, and they're like, okay, cool, so you go to the gym? You know what I mean? This is probably exactly what this was, and I'm just like, Milla, girl, like, what did you expect these people to say? Did you expect them to say like, wow, you're doing so many things? Sometimes people just don't care what you're into. Sometimes people just don't care. These men are not judges at Miss World. Beauty with a purpose is not their department. I think expecting people to care about something that you care about is a very narcissistic thing to do, even though I do tend to discuss a lot of pageantry stuff with my boyfriend who literally couldn't give two. So basically, they were expected to just sit and talk with people who happen to be men who were sponsoring this event, make small talk, just talking. And this somehow made her feel like a prostitute. Does she know what a prostitute is? Does she know what a prostitute is? I'm just saying, like, Milla, do you need a cube of cheese? Is your blood sugar low? Because, I don't know, I feel like as a grown adult woman, we should all have the capacity to be able to make small talk with people. She doesn't claim that any of these men harassed her, asked her any inappropriate questions. Like I said, it was probably just, your classic when you first meet someone conversation. What do you think about India? Where have you traveled? What do you like to do for fun? that sort of thing, you know? Nobody's gonna get into the weeds of what you're doing in terms of your beauty with a purpose or whatever. Like, I just feel like her expectations were too grand. And honestly, I don't think many of the other girls took it this way. Perhaps Milla is just not very social. Perhaps she is just an introvert, and this whole experience of being seated with strangers, essentially, being expected to talk with them, show gratitude perhaps, be like, oh, thank you so much for the contributions you've made, the experience has been wonderful so far, India is great, and then if they're Indian, maybe ask them like where in India they're from, you know, what they actually do for a living. I don't know, there's many ways. As a grown woman, I think that a person could approach this sort of situation, because it's not like they were being expected to flirt with these men. I mean, she didn't state that outright. From what I gather, they're seated at tables as grown women with other grown people, expected to socialize, talk. You know, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me. I don't see anything wrong with what was happening, but okay. In Milla's opinion, this was just, it was too much. Apparently now, according to Milla, there was an organizer who was clapping her hands in Milla's face and berating some of the girls for being boring. So she was basically like, you guys need to step it up. You are boring. I don't know who this person is. That would send me, not gonna lie, that would send me into orbit. Would I quit because of one person being like this? Probably not, but I would definitely complain. So yes, but Milla unfortunately never reveals who this organizer was. But that's just one thing to keep in mind. She also claims that they were expected to wear full makeup and wear ball gowns all the time, even at breakfast. Now, she is prone to exaggeration, isn't she? Because there's a prostitute thing, and now there's the ball gowns at breakfast. Yes, perhaps when you're competing at a beauty pageant, there might be pressure to look your best and to look well put together at all times, which for some people may mean full makeup. Let's admit, as women, most of the time, if I'm not wearing makeup, doesn't have to be full makeup. If I'm not wearing some makeup, I'm gonna not want to run into my ex at the grocery store. Let's just be honest about that. But that's just me. Perhaps that's not Milla. Perhaps Milla is the girl who feels her best with a bare face. Fair enough. I don't think she would have been berated for that at Miss World. Honestly, I just think that there's a lot of pressure to show up in makeup because everyone else around you is also wearing makeup, and because a lot of women feel their best when they have put some effort into their appearance. That's all I'm gonna say. But ball gowns at breakfast? Ball gowns at breakfast? I've seen no girls show up in a ball gown in their everyday activities. Like perhaps for the fancy events, but even there, ball gown? That's a bit extreme. Now, obviously, this all caught Miss World off guard when Milla started releasing why she quit Miss World. And they subsequently released some footage of her at events saying, well, we didn't really know anything was wrong because she looked so happy the whole time. And then Milla pulled the classic, how dare they release footage of me without my consent. It's like, girl. Now, granted, she could have been pretending to be happy, right? She could have been pretending to be happy, and then behind the scenes she was complaining and, you know, making a lot of complaints to the organization about what's going on and how she's feeling. Do you think she did that? Do you think she actually went to the organization and said, listen, this is bothering me? No. Do you know on which basis she withdrew from Miss World? She told them she had to leave because she had a family emergency regarding her mother's health. Now, I don't know if I'm just superstitious like this, but I believe in the power of words, and I could never speak health issues over my mother's life, if I had one, that is. And obviously in response to the Miss World organization saying we had no idea she was uncomfortable, she said that she was leaving due to family stuff relating to her mother's health. So, sorry, this is news to all of us, we didn't know. And she said, well, I would have said anything. I would have said anything to get out of there. Well, why not then just tell the truth? Why not then just go to the organizers and say, listen, I am withdrawing due to this and this and this, which made me uncomfortable. I believe this pageant is stuck in the 1950s, and honestly, I just don't want to be here. You could have said that. If you could have said anything to get out of there, you could have said the truth of how you were feeling. That's just me. And then, instead of telling the truth of how she was feeling to this organization, she then went and gone to any publication that would listen and said, oh no, it was because I felt like a prostitute, which is an extreme exaggeration of what you actually had to endure. But never fear, because Miss World will not go without an English representative this year. After Milla withdrew, she was replaced by Charlotte Grant, who was previously a contestant at Miss Cosmo 2024, but she unfortunately did go unplaced, so at least England will be represented still. I, in my personal capacity, do not think that Milla had adequate reason to withdraw, but if this is the kind of person she is, I'm sorry to say this, it was her speaking health issues over her mother's life that did it for me. I'm sorry, okay? Listen, I don't think that she'll be missed, to be honest with you. So yes, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and give me your opinion, and I'll see you in the next one.